Mr. President, a few moments ago, I had the opportunity to meet with a group called the Tribute to Fallen Soldiers. And it's an annual cross-country motorcycle ride in honor of soldiers who have died during combat. The motorcycle brigade escorts the Fallen Soldiers Memorial Flame from Eugene, Oregon, all the way out to Arlington National Cemetery. And along the way, they visit Gold Star families, families who have a loved one who has died in service to the United States of America on the battlefield. And one couple that came today was Terry Burgess and Elizabeth Burgess, whose son, Brian, lost his life fighting in Afghanistan. And they shared with me, in the military tradition, a medal. And I'd like to ask unanimous consent to use a visual aid.
Without objection.
This medal has a picture of their son, says in memory of SSG Brian A. Burgess, who lived from April 23, 1981 through March 29, 2011. And on the back of it, it has a picture of the memorial that shows a pair of boots and a rifle and a hat, and never forget. And the Tribute to Fallen Soldiers is about never forgetting our fallen soldiers. We put them into situations of enormous stress and challenge and danger, and they are there for all of us. And those dangerous situations, time and again, one of our soldiers loses their life. And so may we never forget our soldiers who have died, our soldiers who have been wounded, and may we continue to reach out to Gold Star families to provide a community of support to them. And I just completely respect and appreciate the Tribute to Fallen Soldiers motorcycle brigade that rides across the country visiting with Gold Star families, making sure they have that community of support and making sure that they know that the sacrifice of their son or daughter is not forgotten. Mr. President, while focusing on the military, I want to shift to another aspect of military service. And I'm going to start by thinking about the foundation of our country, our We the People nation. We the people, the first three words of our Constitution, the mission statement of our nation. We are not a nation that is founded of, by, and for the powerful, not a nation founded to govern of, by, and for the privileged, but for the people. And it was a very deliberate strategy of our founders not to repeat the type of structure they saw in Europe, where government became beholden and in servitude to simply the powerful class in America. And throughout our history, we've strived to live up to this vision of a nation where every individual has the opportunity to thrive. Time after time, we have broken down barriers. We have overcome discrimination. We have thrown open the doors of opportunity for one group after another. For women, for African Americans, for indigenous peoples, for immigrants, for the disabled. Freedom, said President Lyndon Baines Johnson, is the right to be treated in every part of our national life as a person equal in dignity and promise to all others. So we've strived to reach that perspective, that point where our vision of the pursuit of happiness embraces freedom as Lyndon Baines Johnson described it, the right to be treated in every part of our national life as a person equal in dignity and promise to all others. It's not been easy. It's Martin Luther King who saw how challenging it was to progress towards that vision. And he noted that human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice and suffering and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. And it's with that tireless exertion, that passionate concern, that dedication that we have made progress time and time again. But last week, we did not make progress. Last week, we fell back from this vision of opportunity, the freedom to engage in our national life with the respect and promise accorded to all others. This step back came in the form of an attack by President Trump and Attorney General Sessions on our LGBTQ Americans. President Trump announced a ban on transgender Americans serving in the military. And Attorney General Sessions filed an amicus brief in Zarda versus Altitude Express, arguing that discrimination is completely legal under the law, including the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Well, let's talk for a moment about our members of the military who have joined a volunteer military, who have gone through significant training. And I'm not just referring to boot camp, I'm ongoing training in specialty after specialty after specialty, so they can operate that radar effectively that provides warning to an entire ship, or that communication device and make sure that patrol is where it's supposed to be and able to follow instructions in the field, or any of a whole number of specialties, hundreds of specialties within the military that these individuals step forward and gain training on, and each one of them significant to the overall success of the entire unit. Well, that's something President Trump didn't understand last week when he attacked and said that he is going to throw our transgender individuals out of the military. What's important isn't whether you are gay or lesbian or transgender, it's whether you serve with your heart and soul and sinew the purpose of the security of the United States. And those individuals that do are respected within their units. They contribute to their units. The lives of each member depends on the success of the other team members. They are a team. And to reach in a cavalier fashion, as the president did, and say, I'm going to rip thousands of these team members out of their units, is wrong in so many ways. It is disrespectful, of course, of those individuals and their dedicated service to our nation. It's disrespectful and damaging to the units in which they serve and provide those various skills that they have worked so hard to acquire, and we have worked so hard to make sure they have the chance to acquire. And it certainly damages the security of the United States of America to eject individuals with those talents, that training, from our military. So therefore, that should be reversed. And by the way, it was done without consultation with our military leaders, which is a commander-in-chief proposing a policy through a tweet without consulting with the experts who have dedicated their lives to the national security of our nation. That in itself is a real betrayal of responsibility. And then Attorney General Sessions filed an amicus brief in Zarda versus Altitude Express. And this brief says that Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which provides protection against discrimination in race and color and religion and national origin and sex, does not provide protection for discrimination in terms of one's LGBT status. By the way, that is the opposite of what a court after court after court has ruled. What happened, one might ask, to the President Trump, who, as candidate Trump, said thank you to the LGBT community, who said, I will fight for you, he said, as a candidate? What happened to the president who, after the attack on the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, said, tweet, we'll fight for you? The president this last week did not fight for you in that community. Instead, he attacked that community. And he apparently approved of Attorney General Sessions attacking that community. This is why we need the Equality Act. The Equality Act would clarify that when we say no discrimination on the basis of sex, that is broadly applying to one's status of who they are or whom they love. Because if we go back to President Johnson's presentation of the issue in America, where he says every individual, the matter of freedom is that you have the opportunity to be treated as having the same promise and be treated with the same respect as everyone else. That's all about being able to thrive in the United States, or to put it quite simply, not having doors slammed in your face as you proceed to rent an apartment. Not having a door slammed in your face when you proceed to go to a restaurant or a movie theater. Not having a door slammed in your face when you seek to be part of a jury. That's what freedom is in this country. And that is the freedom that AG Sessions and President Trump are seeking to rip away from a sizable share of Americans. And that is simply wrong. That's why we need the Equality Act, to make sure that this is remedied. That's why I need the courts to stand up against discrimination on the basis of who you are and whom you love. Mr. President, it's been a week in which the president attacked and damaged our military, and Attorney General Sessions attacked and betrayed and stole freedom from, attempted to steal freedom from a vast swath of Americans. That's a very sad week on both counts. And we here in this chamber should stand up and say, that is not okay. We will fight for the security of the United States of America, and we will fight for opportunity for every single American. Thank you, Mr. President.